Alright folks, buckle up because we're diving headfirst into the wild world of American banking in 2025. And let's be clear, it's not exactly a pool party with inflatable swans and a Jimmy Buffett soundtrack. We're talking about some serious challenges facing our financial institutions. The kind that could leave you feeling like you just accidentally flushed your phone down a toilet. But before you start stuffing cash into your mattress, let's not panic. We're going to break down these issues one by one and explore some potential solutions. Because the truth is, a healthy banking system is about as exciting as watching paint dry. But when it goes wrong, well, that's when things get really interesting in a watching a slow-motion train wreck kind of way. So, stick with me because understanding these challenges isn't just about protecting your own money, it's about understanding the very fabric of our economy. And frankly, after the year we've had, I think we could all use a little less chaos, don't you? In 2025, the US banking system faces several significant challenges. Let's dive into these issues and explore potential solutions. First up, let's talk about inflation. You know, that thing that makes everything you buy more expensive while your paycheck stays stubbornly the same? Yeah, that's the one. It's like a slow leak in your bank account, silently eroding the value of your savings. And the worst part, it makes planning for the future feel like trying to nail jelly to a wall. See, when inflation is high, interest rates tend to follow suit. This can be good news if you're a bank lending out money, but for the average person trying to save, it's a real kick in the teeth. Think of it like this. You're trying to climb a mountain, but the ground beneath you keeps shifting, making it nearly impossible to reach the summit. That's what saving in a high inflation environment feels like. Now, I'm not an economist, but even I can see that ignoring this problem is like trying to put out a fire with a squirt gun. We need real solutions, and we need them now. So what can be done? Well, that's where things get a little more complicated. But stick with me because we'll be diving into some potential solutions later on. Alright, let's move on to our next challenge: banking liquidity. Now, I know what you're thinking. Liquidity? Sounds like something I should be worried about if I was a character on Succession, not your average Joe. But here's the thing, folks, banking liquidity is kind of like the foundation of our entire financial system. It's the money that banks have on hand to meet their immediate obligations, like, letting you withdraw your hard-earned cash without having to go through a 5-day waiting period. And when that liquidity starts to dry up, well, things can get a little dicey. Think of it like a giant game of Jenga, where each block represents a bank's reserves. Now, imagine a bunch of those blocks suddenly getting pulled out because of things like, a global pandemic or a sudden economic downturn. Suddenly, that tower starts looking a lot less stable, doesn't it? That's why maintaining banking liquidity is crucial. It's about ensuring that banks have enough cash on hand to weather the storm, no matter how unexpected it may be. Now let's talk about something a little less tangible but equally important: public trust. Because here's the thing, folks, banking is built on a foundation of confidence. It's the belief that when you deposit your money into that big, imposing building with more marble than a Roman bathhouse, it'll still be there when you need it. But when that trust starts to erode, well, that's when things can get really interesting, and by interesting I mean potentially catastrophic. See, if people lose faith in the banking system, they might start pulling their money out en masse. And when that happens, it can create a self-fulfilling prophecy, leading to bank runs and, you guessed it, a full-blown financial meltdown. So how do we maintain public trust in a time when it feels like everything is constantly on the verge of imploding? Well, it starts with transparency. Banks need to be upfront about their financial health and the risks they're facing. Think of it like this: you're about to get on a roller coaster. Wouldn't you want to know if the safety inspector had called out sick that day? Of course you would. Chapter 4, the stock market, where banking anxiety meets investor panic. Okay, let's move on to the stock market, that magical realm where numbers fluctuate with the predictability of a sugar-fueled toddler. Now I know what you're thinking. The stock market, that's just a bunch of rich guys gambling with their yachts and caviar money, right? And while that's certainly a part of it, the stock market also plays a vital role in our economy. It's where companies go to raise capital, and where investors hope to, make it big. But here's the thing. When the banking sector starts to look shaky, it can send shockwaves through the entire stock market. Think of it like this. Imagine you're at a party, and suddenly, the host starts frantically searching for their wallet. Now, maybe they just misplaced it, or maybe they just realized they left the oven on. But either way, it's going to kill the mood, right? That's kind of what happens when investors start to worry about the stability of banks. They get skittish, start selling off their stocks, and suddenly the entire market is doing the financial equivalent of the Macarena. Chapter 5. Policy intervention, The government tries to play financial Tetris. Alright, let's talk about the government's role in all of this. Now I know, bringing up the government in a discussion about finance is a bit like inviting a bull into a china shop. But the truth is, they have a pretty important role to play, especially when it comes to stabilizing the economy. Think of it like this. The government is like that friend who always tries to fix things around the house, even though they have a tendency to make things worse. Sure, their heart is in the right place, but sometimes you just wish they'd put down the toolbox and step away from the power drill. But in this case, we actually need them to step up and do something. We need them to find a way to tame inflation without completely crushing economic growth. It's a delicate balancing act, kind of like trying to juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. Okay, let's talk about something that should be near and dear to all of our hearts, protecting our hard-earned savings. Because let's be honest, folks, nobody wants to wake up one morning and find out that their life savings have vanished faster than a plate of cookies at a Weight Watchers meeting. That's where things like FDIC insurance come in. You know, that little safety net that protects your deposits up to a certain amount if your bank goes belly up? Yeah, that's the one. But here's the thing, in a world where inflation is running rampant and the financial ground feels shakier than a Michael Jackson dance floor, we might need to consider strengthening that safety net. Think of it like this. You wouldn't wear the same size life jacket as a toddler, would you? Of course not. So why should our financial safety net be stuck in the past? We need to make sure that it's robust enough to handle the challenges of the 21st century, because nobody wants to play financial Russian roulette with their future. Alright, let's talk about the digital elephant in the room, digital currencies. You know, those mysterious, intangible things that people are constantly raving about or warning us against, often in the same breath. Yeah, those things. Now I'll be honest, folks, I'm about as tech-savvy as a potato. But even I can see that digital currencies are rapidly changing the financial landscape. Think of it like this. Remember when we all used to pay for things with cash? Now it feels as antiquated as using a rotary phone. Digital currencies have the potential to revolutionize the way we bank, making transactions faster, cheaper, and more secure. But, and this is a big but, there are also some serious risks that we need to address. For starters, cybersecurity. Imagine if all your money was stored online and then, bam, some hacker in their mother's basement makes off with it all. Finally, let's talk about something a little more optimistic: investing in the future. Because amidst all the doom and gloom, it's important to remember that there's still hope. We can't just focus on patching up the cracks in our current system. We need to build a stronger, more resilient one for the future. And that starts with investing in innovation. Think of it like this. If the financial system is a car right now, it's running on fumes, sputtering down the road with the check engine light flashing furiously. We could keep trying to patch it up with duct tape and hope for the best, or we could invest in a new engine, one that's built for the long haul. We need to be investing in things like renewable energy, sustainable infrastructure, and cutting-edge technology. These investments won't just create jobs and boost the economy in the short term, they'll lay the foundation for a more sustainable and prosperous future. So there you have it, folks. The good, the bad, and the potentially ugly of the US banking system in 2025. It's a complex landscape, filled with challenges that can feel as overwhelming as trying to assemble IKEA furniture while blindfolded. But here's the thing, burying our heads in the sand and hoping it all goes away isn't a strategy. We need to be informed, engaged, and proactive about navigating these challenges. That means staying up to date on policy changes, diversifying our assets, and maybe even, dare I say it, talking to a financial advisor. Because the future of our economy, and our own financial well-being, depends on it. By addressing these challenges with strategic solutions, we can ensure a resilient and stable banking system in 2025. Stay informed, diversify your assets, and monitor policy changes to navigate the financial landscape effectively.